And now it looks like it's going. Morning, Al Ingalls here. It is a Saturday morning. I am hosting an online retreat today, and we started last night. Going to go from 10 to 4 today, Eastern. Sleep. Sleep is an issue that I hear from a lot of my clients. When they first come to me and I'm doing intake to learn about them, they'll say, I just really want to sleep better. A couple of months ago, I held an alum event. So I invited a lot of former clients just come on and share their experience, like where are they now? What are they, how are things going kind of thing, and to meet each other. And one of the clients I worked with 4 years ago, the first thing she said was, for 4 years now, I've been having a good sleep. I've been sleeping well every night. And that is something I've experienced too, pretty much every night. I get a really beautiful sleep. Um, what what's changed are a few things, but I want to give you some real tips that can help you. Sometimes my clients are wearing apps. They're wearing watches that have apps that track their sleep. And one of the things I've found is that if the tracking in the morning tells them they didn't get a good sleep, that creates some anxiety about how the day is going to be. I'm less interested in what the app says. I'm more interested in helping my client really get a good night's sleep and not trigger the stress response for any reason because they've learned some and gotten some evidence that they didn't get a good night's sleep. Maybe they feel fine, but then they see that. Um, so that's one thing. If you have a wearable and you notice that it creates a roller coaster of emotions for you, you might want to consider just taking it off for a while. And so there's one tip for you. A second tip that I have is to take a look at from about 5 p.m. If you have a schedule where you're sleeping at night, because some of my clients work at night. Um, but if you have a regular schedule, like look at the last like 6 hours before you're going to sleep, because the effects of the stress response last for hours. And there's a second flood of hormones that goes out that can that's got a hormone in it that will wake you up. If you take a look at the last 6 hours, so from like 4 or 5 p.m. on, the latter part of your workday into your evening, just really assess in that period of time if you if there's something that's causing you to trigger the stress response. It could be that you get to the end of your workday and you haven't accomplished everything you wanted to, so you're a little annoyed at that, a little ashamed of yourself that you didn't get everything done. That could be something happening there. If you commute more than 15 minutes, it doesn't matter if it's by bike, by car, by rail, it doesn't matter. There's usually there was a study done that said that people commute more than 15 minutes typically trigger the stress response in their commute. So on your way there, then on your way back. So take a look at that. If you work from home, there can be other triggers and stressors and challenges. So take a look at anything in there. And then when you're going into your evening, like your evening meal, whatever you do in the evening, if you watch the evening news, most people will trigger the stress response just watching the news or listening to the news. Even reading the news, reading is less of a chance. But if you're seeing images that could cause you to have any sort of feelings, like these are things that are out of your control, you can't control them, so that can be very triggering. So maybe you're going to refrain from any sort of news in the evening that could help you. Um, let's see what else. Evening can be a time when, if you're tired from work, that and you've triggered the stress response, you can move into some arguing. You can just have some less than stellar interactions in the evening. So take a look at that. If you feel frustrated, are you reacting? That frustration is key right there, that you've probably released stress hormones. So look at that evening part of your day, and you want to notice your triggers. You use pressure-free tools to stay as beautiful as you can. And then just before you go to sleep, that's when your brain moves into theta waves. For generations, for thousands of years, in nearly every culture, when you were first waking up, when we were first waking up as humans and going to sleep, we did some sort of prayer work. We were afraid we might not make it through the night, so we would say prayers of keep me safe, those kinds of prayers, and also prayers of gratitude. So if in the twilight regions of your morning and night, I call that the twilight zone, um, if you can really put some beautiful things in there, what are you grateful for in your day? What are you hopeful for? Um, so those kinds of thoughts, affirmations, prayers, meditation, silence too, anything that's moving you into a really beautiful state, that will help instead, because what do we often do? We often are kind of playing back our day, upset that these things didn't go the way we thought they would. We're in a very tense, more mentally tense frame than we need to be. Maybe your body is tense too. So do a little body scan. Notice where your body's tense. And if you feel tension, if you start by relaxing the middle of your body first, that can really help you. So place a hand right on your belly and see if you can relax your abs, your lower abs. Relax the middle of your body first, like almost 360 degrees relaxation, and then you can radiate out to your limbs and up to your head. That I was working with a person who was going through a lot of cancer treatments, and I took him through this way of relaxing from the center of the body, and he thought it was just amazing because he was trying to like relax his toes first and then his ankles and then his legs and move up the body. But I find that it can be a lot easier to really get relaxed if our abs are relaxed, because our abs are sending a signal to our brain that something's up, that we need to be afraid. So when you can get the center of your body really relaxed, that can be a game changer for your sleeping. Um, the other thing I wanted to bring forward about sleep today was that if you're in a pattern, and by the way, we all have very different patterns. So there's a lot of judgment about sleep, like you should sleep this amount of time and at these hours. But we're all very different. Some people are more night owls. I remember reading about a writer who his main working hours were like 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Like those were when he did his best work. So we all have different patterning. So making assumptions about ourselves and about others, about how much sleep you need, when you need to be sleeping. If you can soften that a little, that could be very helpful for you. You also, because if you've had a pattern for months or for years, or even decades, um, and the pattern includes negative assumptions about how your sleep is going to be. Like if you say things like, I just never get a good night's sleep, or I always wake up tired. If you're using superlatives like that, never, always, um, if you can swim that, so my tool is swim. So this is how swim would go. You put your hands together and you say, okay, so in the past, I've had some difficulty sleeping, but I'm now open to the possibility that in the future, and you state exactly what you want. I sleep beautifully. I sleep really deeply. Um, Also, like within families, how many hours a person needs. My husband and younger two sons seemed to have needed less sleep than me and my eldest. So I would sometimes assume that they weren't getting enough sleep, but it wasn't true at all. When I went kind of hands off and stopped commanding when people needed to go to sleep, it was a game changer. It was really a whole different experience for them. I'll end with a quick story about that. So when I was first creating Pressure Free, I didn't think I needed to use it on myself. I definitely did. So I started using the method on myself, and I was headed to a symphony. I had a symphony rehearsal. That particular night, the two older boys had baseball. I wanted to have a family dinner, so I held off dinner for a while. And then I said, I need to go to rehearsal, so you guys we can all do the evening cleanup. They're like, yeah, sure, we got this. So I went off to rehearsal, and I was really all day long staying in a very pressure-free state because I really wanted to have an exceptional rehearsal. And it truly was. Like, it was really great. And then when I finished rehearsal, I'm like packing up and thinking, okay, I have a few emails I need to send out to clients. So I'm going to get home. House will be dark. I was sharing a computer with the family. I had we had a big iMac in the dining room. That's where our youngest did his work and me. And so I'm like, I'll just, it'll be dark. I'll just go in the living room, dining room, and I'll just type these out. Well, when I pulled up to my house, it was about 10:30 at night, school night. Every light in the house was blazing, right? I could see it. It was like glowing at the top of the hill there. So I pull in and I walk in, and my two older have the Stanley Cup game going, hockey, and then their laptops for school are open. They're supposedly doing their homework while they're watching the Stanley Cup. My youngest is on the computer playing some computer game. My husband is in the kitchen, but I walk in and none of the dishes are done. They're off the dining room table, but like nothing's done. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So I throw on my apron. He goes, no, honey, we've got this. I still throw on my apron. Okay. And I get to work. And then I turn to him and I say, and William hasn't even taken a shower yet, in this like horrible voice, like really tense, tight. I'm sure my face is just like, "Rah." And he goes, and then one of the older boys comes running into the kitchen and goes, you made William cry, Mom. The whole house is just crazy, right? The whole house was not crazy before I arrived. The whole house went crazy when I got upset. So that night took forever to get everybody to sleep. In the morning, everybody was cranky. Fast forward, and same scenario, different sports. And I came home from the rehearsal, which went fabulously. I took a shower, went upstairs, read a little bit, and went to bed. In the morning, kitchen was completely spotless. The dining room was ready for breakfast. Everyone woke up beautifully. I have no idea when they went to sleep. I stopped meddling in what I thought they needed to be doing, and really kind of opened up, and families all very reasonable. Like, I'm sure they went to bed at the time that was right for them, because when they woke up, they were happy and well rested. But I had made so many assumptions. Now, where did my assumptions come from? One of my close friends says, like, if it's hysterical, it's historical. Okay. So my history about sleep is my senior year in high school, I got mono really pretty severely. And I had the exhausted kind. Like, I didn't really have the throat thing so much, but I was so tired, I could barely stay awake for like 20 minutes at a time. And so big chunk of my senior year was kind of missing. It was very odd. And so I was very sick. And the physician said to me, our doctor said to me, that you're going to need at least like 9, 10 hours of sleep every night for probably the rest of your life. At least that's the message I got, that for the rest of my life, I would need a ton of sleep. That's not true. But that was an assumption built from something that happened to me. And it wasn't until I used pressure free on myself, started really experimenting, and started getting a true deep delta wave sleep. So after the theta waves, if you haven't triggered the stress response, you will go into a delta wave sleep. That's why my client said, I've been getting a real sleep for 4 years now. Like, that's incredible, right? I mean, it's just so beautiful. I've been getting a real sleep now for almost 16 years. 15, it'll be 16 years in April. Like, that's incredible. It certainly changes your life to have your body refreshed, renewed, and able to take on the day. So if sleep is an issue for you, feel free to reach out. I'm going to get ready for my retreat, and I wish you a great pressure-free day. Bye.